the station that's on your side. This is News 12, first at 5.
A critical pipeline remains shut down because of a cyber attack, and even as leaders warn against gas hoarding, people across the southeast are still panic buying. But first, Aiken County law enforcement hoping to crack down on gang violence. Right now, they do not have any investigators focused specifically on fighting gang violence. Brady Trapnell here in the studio now with how law enforcement leaders hope to change that. And Brady, what steps are they trying to take here?
Well, Meredith, this has been an issue Aiken County has been trying to fight for years. Last night, Sheriff Hunt asked County Council to add 4 new gang investigators to his staff. They turned it down in the first reading, but the Sheriff's Office says it's a need. Drive-by shootings and gang-related incidents are happening more in Aiken County. You may remember back in December of 2019, gang violence was responsible for the deaths of Melisha Jackson and her 1-year-old son, Elijah. And a 64-year-old woman was hit by crossfire in a drive-by shooting just last month. The Sheriff's Office says they need investigators for intelligence, which Captain Nick Gallum says should help mitigate violence.
Where we do have gang violence issues or gang activity issues, those investigators would saturate those areas and work those areas. I can't say that, because we add gang investigators that we'll never have any gang-related crime.
And here's why he says that. Gang violence is incredibly hard to track, and some of the recent violence has been within city limits, so Aiken Public Safety is also asking for a gang investigator, likely to be approved in the budget after a second reading in council soon. How the two agencies plan to partner to stop violence on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
All right, thanks for that, Brady. Grovetown offering a $3,000 bonus for police officers who sign on for 3 years. Mayor Gary Jones announcing the new measure in a Facebook post. He tells us he started the initiative to help recruit candidates. Law enforcement agencies are seeing fewer and fewer applicants, and he says that has to do with factors like the danger of the job and a climate of criticism. He says Grovetown isn't at a critical low. He just wants to raise the level of recruiting. Taking a look now outside. Boy, it is a cold one out there. Anthony Carpino just told me it is colder right now in Saluda than it is in Fairbanks, Alaska. And Riley, I believe that.
47 right now in Saluda, and currently Fairbanks is at 53 degrees. So yeah, pretty cold stuff out there this afternoon for us. It is currently dry up in Saluda. The only rain we're currently tracking is in our eastern counties. So Barnwell, you're seeing some rain. Vandenberg, Earhart, Allendale, you've been seeing a few raindrops as well. Now, most of this is moving towards the coast, so we're expecting drier weather for the rest of this evening for us here in Augusta and anywhere north of I-20. Outside of a maybe quick little sprinkle, we're expected to stay just kind of cloudy and on the cool side through this evening. But all this cool air is being thanks to high pressure towards our north, funneling down these northeast winds that are bringing temperatures down into the 50s and 40s for us currently. Look at Augusta right there at 52 degrees. That is the coldest spot on the map right now. There are some cooler locations in North Carolina where they are currently in the 40s in some places. Now, our current temperatures here in the CSRA, once again, 47 in Saluda, 52 at Bushfield, and now the 50s are being found even in our southern counties that have been staying in the 60s most of this afternoon. Now, hour by hour, we're going to stay in the 50s, just hover it around that temperature through around midnight. By early tomorrow morning, we are expecting the 40s. We'll have a look at that in your first alert forecast coming up.
All right, thanks for that, Riley. We are keeping an eye on gas stations around the CSRA. You're looking at shots from around town today. Our crews saw a lot of gas stations with out-of-service signs or those plastic bags covering the pumps. We did see some lines as well, but the good news, not as many lines as we saw yesterday. Governor Brian Kemp giving updates on the impact of the shutdown in Georgia. He says the EPA approved a waiver to use fuel in storage, which should help in the short term. He's asking us all not to rush to the gas pumps.
My main message to Georgians today is that the most effective way to address the fuel shortages we're experiencing is for everyone to remain calm and only get the fuel you need to carry out essential activities.
Meanwhile, pressure at the pumps continues to build, and Colonial Pipeline tells federal officials it will know by later today whether or not it is safe to fully restart that system. Femi Redwood has the latest for us from New York.
Anxious drivers in the Southeast continue to pack gas stations.
I've never seen anything like this, have you?
That's like the toilet paper fiasco all over again.
The Colonial Pipeline shutdown is now entering day 6.
All the stations that both got bags on them said they flew out of fuel.
In Virginia, where a number of fuel stations have run dry, cars began lining up before sunrise, leaving motorists to take what they could.
Premium a little high, but I'm going to get it anyway.
According to AAA, panic buying and shortages at stations have sent the average price for a gallon of regular to about $3 for the first time in nearly 7 years. If the pipeline shutdown drags on, analysts fear it will only get worse, with a gallon of gas hitting $3.15 or higher by Memorial Day weekend.
With vaccine rates going the way that they are, we are expecting a barn burner of a summer driving season.
Michael Tran is a global energy strategist and says at this point, every day really counts.
If we are able to take this pipeline back online later this week, you're still going to be seeing widespread shortages for a period of time after that as the pipeline loads up.
So far, Florida, Virginia, North Carolina, and Georgia have declared states of emergency.
The folks should follow the advice of the governors and the attorney generals, which they're asking folks not to panic, not to hoard gasoline.
The Department of Energy is pleading with Americans to remain calm while Colonial works to get its system fully back online. Officials expect the pipeline to be operational by the end of the week. So hang in there. We're almost through it. Meanwhile, the Washington, D.C. Police Department facing the consequences of a cyber attack. A ransomware group following through on its threat to release profiles of 22 D.C. police officers yesterday. The group says the police department offered them $100,000 instead of the $4 million they were asking for. They released officer profiles, including extensive information such as social security numbers, fingerprints, psychological assessments, even their address history. It all started back in April when the group first posted 5 profiles, but took them down when they started negotiating. A major announcement from University Hospital today. The hospital announcing it's entering a $1 billion partnership with Piedmont Healthcare. Piedmont has a dozen hospitals statewide, including ones in Atlanta, Athens, Columbus, and Macon. Their new deal with University Hospital includes a $20 million investment in community health benefits over 10 years. University officials telling us no employees will lose their job because of this new partnership, and patients will still continue seeing their favorite doctors. Crews continuing to clean up today after a train derailed last night near Riverwatch Parkway. It happened west of I-20 around 11 or so. The railroad tells us a CSX train derailed 14 loaded rock cars, and they were still like that today. I'm sure a lot of you saw it driving by. Now, no one got hurt. There weren't any hazardous materials on board. It was just a mess. Crews are working to clean up the rock, and investigators are now looking into the cause. Just into the newsroom in the last hour, a key CDC panel voting to recommend expanding emergency use of Pfizer's COVID vaccine to kids 12 to 15. Pfizer says the vaccine is 100% effective in that age group. This is the last step before U.S. officials could give states the go-ahead to open vaccinations to millions of teenagers as early as tomorrow. The FDA has already approved Pfizer's request. Kroger is the latest company now to offer walk-in COVID vaccinations. The company says they'll be offered at most Kroger pharmacy locations in both Georgia and South Carolina. They're offering all 3 vaccines currently, but availability might depend on which store you go to. They say, make sure you wear a short-sleeve shirt. That's important. Bring your insurance card and your ID. If you still want to schedule an appointment, you can find the link on Wrdw.com. But again, walk-ins welcome. Unemployment has been a big topic all across the nation, and here at home we are seeing signs everywhere with businesses looking for help. Just last week, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster announced he's cutting all pandemic-related unemployment benefits in June. Now, Georgia lawmakers are looking to do the same. All of this is in an effort to get workers back in business doors. Local experts say we're seeing a massive shift in local industries across our area. And companies, well, they're having to get pretty creative.
Companies are doing things right now to hold on to people. We've already seen a massive increase in wages just to be more attractive for the positions that are open. But we've also seen sign-on bonuses, attendance incentives, just to get people in the door and get the work done.
Experts say they expect this workforce shortage to last at least another 4 to 6 months.
Well, we did have some cool air arrive this afternoon. It is expected to stick around for the next few days. We'll see how long coming up in your first alert forecast.
Plus, South Carolina parents can now fill out a form so their kids don't have to wear a mask in school. How state leaders feel about the move when we come back.
Hello, I'm Ricky.
Kind of like that.
South Carolina parents can now fill out a form to let their kids go to class maskless. Yesterday, Governor Henry McMaster issued an executive order to give parents a choice if they want their child to wear a mask in class or not. DHEC putting the form on their website earlier today. Adam Mintzner joins us now live for more. And Adam, how is the Department of Education reacting to all of this?
Meredith, the state superintendent, Molly Spearman, is saying that she will rescind her order to make masks mandatory in South Carolina schools. But while she's doing this, she also wants to make it clear she doesn't have to. The head of South Carolina Public Schools wants to avoid any confusion in the last few days of the year. In a letter to superintendents about the governor's order, State Superintendent Molly Spearman says the Department of Education finds no legal grounds for the governor to do this. And the governor thoroughly understands the rule of law and surely recognizes this, but has been successful in his mission of circumventing public health guidance by inciting hysteria and sowing division in the waning days of the school year.
Our Constitution provides that there is, in fact, an executive officer in the state that controls our schools, and there's only one officer, and that is the State Superintendent of Education.
Spearman also said schools weren't given a heads up, and she didn't speak directly with the governor about this order.
To be honest with you, it has caused quite commotion and chaos.
DHEC leader Dr. Edward Simmer said from a public health perspective, he would have preferred the governor to wait a month or two. He says he is concerned about the students and their families.
They can be infected with the COVID virus and they can spread it, which I think is a very important point.
And Meredith, I reached out to the governor's office for a response. They told me that this is within the scope of the governor's power because in this case, he's making a direction to DHEC, the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, and not the Department of Education to do all of this and to put that form online. He says that he wants to do this to make sure parents have a choice when it comes to masking up their kids before going to class. Reporting from Columbia, Adam Mintzer on your side.
Thanks for that, Adam. The governor's executive order also directs local governments to rescind mask mandates. Taking a look outside, looking over the medical district, downtown Augusta. Boy, what a difference a day makes. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale taking a look at our temperatures. And Riley, it feels like we've gone back a season or two.
I know it is feeling like a late winter day for us by all means. 50s for most of us currently, even finding the 40s up in Saluda County. And we are still tracking some showers out there, but most of us are starting to look a lot drier for us. Just some very light rain moving through Barnwell, Bamberg, Allendale, and Screven counties. For us here around the metro, we're currently just cloudy and very cool. Not expecting much rain for the rest of this evening into tonight outside of just some sprinkles and mist. That would be about the most of the rain we're expecting the rest of tonight. But all this cool weather is thanks to the wedge, what we refer to as cold air damming. These northeast winds, as high pressure sits over the northeast, funnel down that cool air that gets dammed up along the Appalachian Mountains and brings us these conditions, just kind of gray, dreary, and very chilly compared to average temperatures. Our sustained winds are out of the northeast between 10 to 15 miles an hour for most of the area. Currently a little bit gustier than that here in Augusta. But looking over Grovetown, you can see a good bit of cloud cover with us and 52 degrees right now on the thermometer. So definitely not feeling like May. Temperatures this morning were actually about 10 to 15 degrees warmer. So we've actually been dropping these temperatures throughout the day as that wedge is built in. We're in the upper 40s up in Saluda, 50 in Evans, 51 in Aiken. These temperatures are not expected to budge too much over the next several hours. By late tonight into early tomorrow, we'll finally see those 50s drop down into the 40s. by daybreak Thursday, so you will need that jacket heading out the door for any early plans tomorrow. But then as we head later into the day, we are expecting to get at least warmer than this afternoon, seeing the mid-60s by lunchtime tomorrow, and then topping out close to 70 by Thursday afternoon. Now, our low temperatures tomorrow morning are expected to be down in the 40s for us at Bush Field. 50 inside the metro, so places like Evans, Martinez, interior Augusta will most likely stay closer to 50, but 40s will be found everywhere north of I-20. It is going to be a cool start out there for us. And then we're going to continue that cooler than average air into the weekend. By late this week and into early next week, we do see a little bit of a nudge back close to the seasonal averages. But our high temperatures tomorrow will be more than 10 degrees below average for us, staying in the 70s for us here in Augusta. And up at the lake, they potentially could stay in the 60s all tomorrow afternoon. Now, into the weekend, we do start to see the 80s again. And remember, Saturday is Armed Forces Day. We actually have thunder over Evans happening on Saturday. We'll have more on that forecast towards the end of the show.
All right, thanks for that, Riley. How far would you go to save your dog? A Virginia boy set the bar to a whole new level. 8-year-old Bryson Kleeman noticed his dog Bruce had gotten sick. He was diagnosed with a highly contagious dog virus, and the treatment cost nearly $700. Bryson's family couldn't afford to pay it, so he took matters into his own hands by setting up a stand to sell his Pokemon cards on the side of the road. He made $65 the first night. Then his mom made a GoFundMe account. The goal was $800, but the GoFundMe donations exceeded $1,900.
I was so happy because I wanted to get him back. It feels good to have my best friend home.
Oh, how adorable is that? Bruce is still undergoing treatment and continues to gain strength, but his human is a good boy too. All right, you're taking a look at a real-time map of cyber attacks around the world. All the blue dots, those are ransomware attacks. When we get back, how cyber terrorists use people like you and me to make millions of dollars.
In Augusta, would an ambulance get to you in time?
It's been over an hour. Yes, ma'am. We've had a high influx of 911 calls.
So what's the holdup? Commissioners can't tell us because they don't know either. Thursday at 6 o'clock. Welcome.
Law Firm. We're with Rhodes Law Firm. Okay, check this out. You're looking at a map of cyber attacks, and this isn't recorded. These are happening right now in real time. All those blue dots, those are ransomware attacks. Between the gas pipeline and the Washington, D.C. Police Department, ransomware is a phrase you've probably heard over and over the last couple of days. But what exactly is it? And how does it take over the computers of some of the largest organizations in the world? Jamie Tucker takes a closer look at how ransomware uses people just like you and me to extort millions of dollars.
And these are cyber attacks happening in real time from Kaspersky Labs. And some of those blue dots, those are ransomware attacks. Ransomware is growing, as you probably know, because cyber terrorists can make a lot of money, and you're not going to believe how little it costs for them to get started.
Software programs are for sale on the deep web, the dark side of the internet. Found one seller offering a 6-piece ransomware pack for as little as $36. And generally speaking, these bad actors will send links to employees of a company hoping someone will click on it. If they do, the software loads onto the computer network, encrypting files. Now, the victim might see a screen like this with a ransom note asking for several thousand or several $1,000,000 to retrieve their files and control of the computer network. Years ago, ransomware attacks commonly targeted consumers on their home computers. But targeting companies, governments, hospitals, and schools are more lucrative. Sometimes the ransomware hackers ask for hundreds of millions of dollars. Some victims have no choice but to pay the ransom and hope to get the files and control returned. The pandemic made it easier for hackers and more difficult for companies whose employees are working from home. In 2020, ransomware attacks more than doubled from the previous year. And with little to go on, U.S. investigators and prosecutors are often helpless to stop them.
So if you use your company's computer, if you're working from home, be careful what you click. It could save your employer millions of dollars. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
Like Jamie said, just be careful what you click. But to protect your employer, you can also make sure that you have antivirus programs that are running and that are up to date. That's important, up to date being a key word here. All right, you could be eligible for a discount on your internet. There are also discounts for buying laptops, desktops, and tablets. If you qualify, you can get up to $50 in discounts a month. Some of the requirements to qualify are right up there on your screen. If you use programs like Medicaid or SNAP, also if you get Pell Grants, or if your child is on free or reduced lunches. We've got the link to sign up and a full list of requirements on our website.
Well, after an unsettled weather pattern the last few days, we are expecting sunshine to return for our Thursday and Friday. If you need to wash the car, we'll have a look at that 7-day forecast coming up.
Did you know that AugustaPress.com?
All right, here's a current look over Aiken County showing cloudy skies. Not much rain falling currently over Aiken, and we're not expecting much rain for the rest of this evening outside of just kind of some sprinkles, maybe some mist. 50 degrees right now in Aiken, so a chilly afternoon, and it's being brought in by these northeast winds still going at about 15 miles an hour in Aiken. We have what's called the wedge in place. Look at the temperature difference. This is cold air damming being dammed up along the Appalachian Mountains. 50 in Greenville, Columbia, 52 in Augusta, but Albany is currently at 77, so it is a local feature for us here in the CSRA. Now, we are looking warm for the next few days, but not necessarily warm. We're expecting to wake up in the 40s the next several mornings, 70s for highs at least through Friday, and then by the weekend, we do see those 80s once again.
All right, thanks for that, Riley. Some great news to pass along. Colonial Pipeline has restarted the pipeline. We won't see the effect of it, though, for a couple of days, but we will give you the latest, a good update coming up next.